is one of the best I've ever seen don the gloves.
Appreciate you.
I appreciate you.
No, I appreciate you.
Man, here's
You know why?
yeah.
Because if it wasn't from you, this would never happen.
Yeah.
So I appreciate you.
Appreciate that, bro.
You're a hell of a fighter. You already know that. I ain't even gotta tell you that.
Yeah.
I appreciate this opportunity.
I appreciate it. We made
You
history.
know, it's always love.
Oh, yeah.
I always told you.
Nah, that nigga ain't in my weight class. Bro, I fight Canelo next. I don't know what that nigga talking about. I'm undisputed at 154. I already did that. Them niggas can't fuck with me, nigga.
What's going on, people? We right back with another one, man. We back with another one. Hey, check it out, man. So, I wanted to talk about these pay-per-view numbers, man, because this was supposed to be a mega fight, and 650,000 is not a mega fight. You know what I mean? So, with that being said, Errol Spence was clearly the A side in this fight, and we need to thank him as boxing fans for giving us that. You know what I mean? He went out there and got dusted off, but it's cool, man. We need to thank Errol Spence for giving us this fight, because 600,000, man, that's just a regular, old-fashioned, hardcore boxing fan fight. You know what I mean? And I say that because Errol Spence has consistently did over 300,000 on pay-per-view. I ain't gonna say, well, I say 3 out of his 4 fights was 300,000 plus. You know, with the Mikey Garcia fight, Sean Porter, and Danny Garcia. You know what I mean? He did, I think, 350. Some reports was 400 with Mikey. And I think he did 325 with Sean Porter and 315 with Danny Garcia. So 650,000, that's pretty much Errol Spence consistently, you know, bringing in that 300. And then when you put Crawford name on the other end, that's where the other 3 come from, the other 350. But we can't say that he bought the whole 350, because even when he had a dancing partner, you know, of the caliber of them fighters that I just named that Errol Spence did 300,000 with, he barely did 100. You know what I mean? So this just goes to show, man, that Errol Spence sacrificed a lot to give us that fight. And speaking of Danny Garcia, yesterday or the day before, I did a video talking about the competitiveness of Errol Spence and Terence Crawford. And it was so weird because I left out, I was supposed to talk about in that video the comparison of Danny Garcia and Jose Benavidez. I was supposed to talk about the competitiveness of that fight. And when Errol Spence fought Danny, and then when Terence Crawford fought Benavidez. Now, I get it, styles make fights, but I say that because Danny Garcia, he watched Benavidez. And styles make fights, I get it. But when you talk about the competitiveness of the Errol Spence and Terence Crawford fight, and then you watch all 3 of them fights, you just see the level of competition when you in there with a solid opponent. It's not supposed to be a wash like that. So that just makes the point in the case that everybody is saying, the majority of people that really want to be realistic about the situation, instead of just wanting to be right about predictions, you know, you can clearly see that it was something wrong with Errol Spence. Now, the reason I bring that Benavidez and Danny Garcia fight up is because, like I said, I did that video like 2 days ago, and I was supposed to talk about that fight, but I left it out, I forgot. So I get home and I get on the internet and I see Premier Boxing Champions, PBC, posted that fight just randomly. You know what I mean? Neither one of them got a fight coming up. They usually post fights fighters when they got a fight coming up. So just ask yourself, like, why would they just randomly post Danny Garcia versus Benavidez? You know what I mean? So they clearly trying to say something like, man, that fight wasn't supposed to be like that. You know what I mean? When you just, like I say, when you got high caliber fighters in the ring, no matter if Terence Crawford's style just got Errol Spence Styles' number, you wouldn't get what we got this past Saturday. You know what I mean? But anyways, man, back to the pay-per-view numbers and all that, and why that clearly shows that Errol Spence was the A side, because when you really think about like just how everything transpired with the negotiations, it was like Errol Spence gave up everything. He gave up his A side. He took the long layoff in the fight. I mean, without taking a fight in between a tune-up or whatever, and he delivered that fight for us. You know what I mean? So, like I said, as boxing fans, we should be thanking Errol Spence, man, for giving us that fight. Now, what Terence Crawford did do was, Terence Crawford won the negotiations all around the board when it came to Errol Spence and Terence Crawford. He won everything because he didn't deserve 50-50, and he got it. He didn't deserve, you know, just all the stuff that Errol Spence conceded to him. He didn't deserve that shit, and he got it. But the one thing that he did do that was good for both of them was he got that guarantee. He got that guarantee for both of them, because in the first negotiations, it wasn't going to be no guarantee. Errol Spence was willing to bet on himself and give us the fight regardless of a guarantee, and he was just going to, you know, be willing to accept whatever the pay-per-view did. He was going to accept that. You know what I mean? Now, why that's important is because supposedly they got 20 million guaranteed for the fight or whatever. And when you really think about the Tank, you look at Tank Davis and you look at Ryan Garcia. Ryan Garcia was so happy to get his 30 million. He got 30, and they did 100. They did 1.4 million pay-per-view buys, and Errol Spence and Terence Crawford did 650,000, and they got damn near the same amount in in money. You know what I mean? When you talk about Errol Spence, they'll probably see 20, possibly even 30 when it comes to you know, once everything get broke down. They probably see close to what Ryan and Tank got, and they did almost a million pay-per-view buys less than what Tank them got. So Terence Crawford did his shit when it come to the pay-per-views. I mean, to the negotiations. He won that all across the board. You know what I mean? But the reason it makes it's really irrelevant as far as who we should be as boxing fans more supportive of is clearly Errol Spence, because me as a boxing fan, I don't give a damn how much money they make. You know what I mean? I want to see the best fighters fight the best fighters, and I want to see you move like a champion. And Errol Spence has consistently did that. He never took tune-up fights. You know what I mean? No matter what happened outside the ring, he never took tune-ups. He never did nothing. He consistently wanted to fight the best and prove that he was the best, and he gave us them fights. You know what I mean? Terence Crawford, on the other hand, you look at him in 2018, all the smoke was on PBC, and he decided to re-sign with Top Rank, where it was no fighters at welterweight, because he took the guaranteed money that they was paying him. So as a Crawford fan, you got to ask yourself, like, man, is this dude really consistently trying to fight the best, or is he really just trying to get in there and fight the least amount of competition for the most amount of money that he can make. You know what I mean? So, you know, like I said, he won the negotiations with Errol Spence, but it's completely irrelevant if Errol Spence wouldn't concede it to him in giving up his A side. You know what I mean? So, like I said, man, as boxing fans, we need to be appreciative of Errol Spence and what he did to make that fight and deliver that fight, because them pay-per-view numbers clearly showed that he was the A side. Like I said, whoever his dance partner was, he consistently do 300 plus by himself. You know what I mean? Usually when you put two fighters' names together, it's gonna do a little bit better than whoever sold the most on pay-per-view. If it's a good B side, it's gonna do more than what that fighter brings in, you know, consistently. And Terence Crawford being a big name, everybody been waiting on that fight, but 600,000, 650,000 don't equal a mega fight. Now you look at Tank. Errol Spence has always did better numbers on pay-per-view than Tank. You know what I mean? I think Tank, his first pay-per-view that cracked over 300,000 was with Rolly. You know what I mean? But he been on pay-per-view, I think, at least about 4 or 5 times now, and he's always been in the 200,000s. Then he cracked the 300,000 with Rolly. Now you think about when you want to talk about a mega fight and somebody being your dance partner and all that, which Errol Spence and Terence Crawford throughout the whole buildup was consistently saying. Ryan Garcia never been on pay-per-view ever in his career. Like I said, Tank been on pay-per-view about 4 or 5 times, never cracked 300,000. You put them two names together, they do 1.4 million. Now, Errol Spence bringing in 300,000, you put Terence Crawford name with him, they only cracked 650. So that clearly shows that Errol Spence was the A side. You know what I mean? So, like I say, man, we just need to be thankful that he did that for us. And hey, since I can't talk no shit, I'm keeping my foot on y'all necks. All y'all Terence Crawford fans, yeah, y'all gonna have to hear it. Y'all gonna have to hear it, because I'm on game. I'm already knowing what's going on, and nah, we gonna get our get back one way or another. And then another thing too, y'all better, as Crawford fans, y'all better hope that Jermell Charlo don't win that fight against Canelo. Now, I'm gonna tell y'all why, because if Jermell Charlo win that fight, he's gonna be the A side against Terence Crawford. Now, when you really break it down, and I did it, look, it's crazy because I actually did, when they announced that fight with Charlo and Canelo, I did a breakdown on who I felt like would be pound for pound #1 after the Crawford fight, Crawford and Spence fight, and the Canelo and Charlo fight. Now, I said that it was different circumstances or different situations that can work itself out to where all 4 of them fighters could possibly be pound for pound #1. But we already seen the outcome of Terence Crawford and Errol Spence. So Crawford clearly won. So right now, he's in the catbird seat. But if Charlo win that fight, he's gonna be a 2-time undisputed champion, just like Crawford. But he's probably gonna be pound for pound #1 if he beat Canelo. So, and the pay-per-view numbers with Canelo and Charlo, I guarantee you is gonna do more than 650,000. So he's gonna have the 2-time undisputed, just like just like Crawford. And he's gonna have a pay-per-view that did more than Crawford and Spence, because anytime you put Canelo in the ring and he got a dance partner, he's done consistently over 650,000. And just like Crawford said himself, the winner of the fight absorbs the numbers. So Ask yourself, I just broke it down how Crawford consistently moves with his business. He's going to expect to be the A side against Charlo, and he's going to expect, if anything, they're going to be 50-50. Now, if Charlo is rightfully deserving of 50-50, of the A side over Crawford, he's not going to give Crawford the A side, and he's not going to concede 50-50 to Crawford, given what his homie just went through. We see how that worked out for Errol Spence, which is his stablemate, which is his homie. We seen how that just worked out with Crawford, giving him the A side or giving him 50-50. So if Charlo is rightfully deserving of the A side, he's not going to concede to Crawford. Crawford is not going to take the B side against Charlo. I guarantee you. He don't even like Charlo. If he would have took the B side against anybody, he would have did it in the Spence fight. But he didn't. So, listen, man, listen. Crawford, man, he a good fighter and all that, but me as a boxing fan, I want to see the best fight the best, and he has consistently showed that he's not willing to do whatever it takes to give the fans what they want. Just look at how he moved in the negotiations in 2022 with Errol Spence. Like I said, Errol Spence was willing to to bet on himself and walk away from the and fight the fight, without the guarantee or nothing. You know what I mean? Crawford was willing to walk away from the fight completely. He said he don't need the fight. That's the type of talk he was talking. Oh, my legacy is cemented and I don't need that fight and all that, because he wanted that 50-50. If he wasn't getting that 50-50, he was walking away from the whole fight. Errol Spence did everything he could. He took the long layoff. You know what I mean? He was willing to bet on himself. He gave up his A side, which clearly 600,000, 650,000 shows that he was clearly the A side in the fight, based on just when the numbers came out, what they did. Then was Errol Spence. Then was a lot of people that was Errol Spence fans. And then the rematch. You think about the rematch. Everybody that I've been hearing that has been saying that they not gonna buy the rematch because of how the first fight looked, majority of them people was Crawford fans. That's like, I don't even want to see the fight again. Of course, Errol Spence lost the fight, so you would think that Errol Spence fans is gonna say that they want to see the rematch just off of that. But Errol Spence fans has clearly showed that no matter who he get in the ring with or whatever the case is, they gonna support him no matter what. So y'all need to just think about that, man, for real. But that's just my thoughts on it, man. Like the video, subscribe to the channel. I'm gone.